Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Crime and Coffee Couple. My name's Mike.
And my name is Allison.
Yeah,
That's
you
me.
sure are. You look very cute today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't get much sleep last night. Well, I did okay, but this damn 3 o'clock in the morning wake up.
Yeah.
It's like I wake up wide awake. I'm like, you're not supposed to be awake right now. It's 3 o'clock.
Maybe you're pregnant. Who knows?
So then I took a melatonin because I'm like, well, I still have 3 hours of sleep. And then I wake up at 6 and I'm like so out of it.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
I sleep pretty well. I mean, as long as I get myself to sleep at a decent time, I sleep pretty well.
Yeah.
So,
You son of a bitch.
We always track our sleep patterns
On the Fitbit.
Yeah, and we were looking through them yesterday, and it's ranked 0 to 100, and generally 90 plus is really, really good. So you were like, last time I got 90 was 3 months ago. I'm like, yeah.
No, it was November.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Yeah, I get it twice. I get a 90 score twice a year.
Right.
You get it, what, 3 times a week?
As long as I can get 8 hours of sleep, it's definitely happening.
Which is insane to me.
Yeah, especially because you say I snore a little bit.
Oh, yeah, you definitely snore.
Yeah, but
You snore a lot a bit.
Yeah, I do. Well, that's okay. I mean, it's okay for me.
It's not okay for me.
It's not okay. Yeah. Well, we are a true crime podcast, and we are a couple, and you have no idea what I'm going to talk about. And this week's my turn. Next week's your turn. We go back and forth and back and forth. Your downloads are doing better than mine. So people like you, I think, which I like you too. So I like their taste.
I like you too.
Oh, well.
It's not to say people don't like you.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's my mysteries or the ones that are unsolved. Yeah. And I've noticed that a lot of podcasts kind of put it out in the front to say whether it's solved or unsolved.
Yeah.
So we might start doing that too.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. Let's stay with us, folks. But you can follow us online at Twitter at Crime and Coffee 2, the number 2, or Instagram Crime and Coffee 2, and also we have a Patreon. So Colleen's our patron, our top patron right now out of 1 out of 1. And
Thank you, Colleen, for throwing us a bone. We're in the camp right now where we want to be able to offer you guys something, but we don't have enough of a following yet in that regard.
How about a shout out? How about that?
We'll put that absolutely a shout out.
Every episode we'll make sure to do that. So if you have some extra scratch laying around, and you appreciate what we do, please come on over and give us some support. We'd appreciate
it.
And also got some good reviews out there. There's some people listening to us on Amazon Music. So if you're listening and you like what you hear, please leave a 5-star review. I think Amazon Audible does it. Spotify, and obviously Apple Podcasts. So any of those, if you could, it would help us out quite a bit. So thank you so much. So that's house cleaning stuff out of the way. But I'd like to talk about myself for a little bit.
You have the floor, Mike.
Okay.
Go.
So this week I got back from Las Vegas, Nevada.
You sure did.
Here in the U.S., and that was my brother's bachelor party. And man, oh man, that place is just full of energy and cigarette smoke and
hookers and blow.
A lot of hookers and blow. Yeah. Oh man, I haven't had so many hookers or blow since late
the last
90s,
time.
Late 90s, I would say at least. Last time I was there, I think it's kind of like, you get laid in Hawaii, you get a lay on top of you.
Yeah, you just get a hooker in Vegas.
In Vegas, it's like, go to the bathroom, there should be hookers on the left and blow on the right. So
you said you probably would be okay never going back again.
Yeah, I mean, I say that, but I mean, there's gambling practically everywhere now. Everybody has a casino. Pretty much everybody has one somewhere nearby, and sports wagering's legal in a lot of places now. It's just it's a lot. I mean, it's kind of a sad thing. I mean, gambling really sucks if you think about it.
Well, I mean, you're actively losing your hard-earned money, and people think they're winning. It's like you're not winning. They're coming out ahead always. Mm-hmm. They're giving you free rooms because they've gotten all your money.
Yeah, most people know that. But
I'm just not a gambler.
No, and it's the house edge is at least 50.5%, no matter what. Even if you're really good at blackjack, which is supposed to be one of the best.
Yeah.
Or craps, you can get it close to almost 50-50, but still, the house edge is there. So the more you play, the more you're going to give back, no matter what, just based on averages. So, but anyways, I had a great time, hung out with my brother, stayed up until 5 in the morning sometimes there.
You were going to bed as I was starting my day, because I get up obviously for work early, but that was a weekend, and Reese and I were going out for a walk, and you were just walking back into your hotel.
Well, we were telling the story to a couple of our friends at Cameron's Little League game, and they were like, well, it's because of the time change. It was easier for you to stay up. It's no,
it's only 3 hours.
It's the opposite, actually. So
it was that much later for you.
Yeah.
You were up the first night for 26 hours.
Yeah. It's if I'm going to sleep at 3:40 4 in the morning there. That's
It's
really 7 in the morning here. So
Yeah.
that's like me going to sleep at 7 in the morning, ending my night. So no, it didn't help the time change.
It worsened it.
Yes, it's much, much worse. But for some reason, you just stay awake, like as you're gambling and stuff. Like,
Well, there's so much stimulation.
yeah, and I didn't get ever hammered, wasted, any of that stuff. It
Well,
was
you're
wonderful.
responsible.
Now, I mean, maybe, yeah. I mean, everybody goes there to have a good time. Nothing against like.
Well, I'm impressed that you were able to keep up. And granted, your brother's not that much younger. What is he, like 4.5 years younger?
Yeah, but he still lives like a young 30. Yeah, I'm 43, so he's probably.
You're
30,
42 right now.
42. Oh yeah.
You have a couple weeks.
Oh, in a few weeks is my birthday.
Yeah, you have a couple weeks, so don't
Yeah.
age yourself just yet.
I won't.
But they're like what 37-ish. But I personally, I'm an old lady. I'm
Yeah.
a fun squasher. I like to go to bed around like 9-ish,
Well,
10-ish.
you're okay with fun.
I like
you're-
having fun.
You're a fun person. I wouldn't be married to you if you weren't a
Yes,
fun person.
I'm a fun person, but I like to go to bed. I like to get my sleep. I like to be rested and get up in the morning and work out.
Right.
Vegas is not my scene, but you and I went to Vegas and we had a great time.
You can go with a couple. You can go watch wonderful shows. The
food.
Cirque du Soleil shows are awesome. They always have like some huge headliners, like whether it's Celine Dion or Backstreet Boys. I think they had Backstreet Boys or 98 Degrees while I was there or something. There was some, it was March Madness for the NCAA basketball tournament. So there was a lot of comedians there. And
I think Britney Spears was there
I
recently.
think so too. Like they always have their their time there, and it's a great place with great food, a lot of good restaurants. But it's kind of a sad place. It's just for me.
Well, you sent me a few videos, and I'm like, there's women just naked in the street with like paint on.
Yeah, they're trying to get you to go somewhere or take a picture with them. I think
Like,
is what they want.
no, thank you.
Right.
I'm good. Thanks.
His friends were like, "Don't take a picture. They'll charge you $20." I'm like, "Don't worry, I'm not taking pictures with anybody here."
So we're glad you're back.
Yeah.
'Cause it felt like you were gone for like weeks.
I had a little throat thing. It was like the dry weather in Las Vegas.
Yeah, coming from Florida to Vegas, the climates could not be further from, each other. The humidity is like night and day.
Yeah.
So yeah, your throat was a little parched.
But yeah, I'm back and ready for action.
Back and better than ever.
What's going on with your
And,
life? Besides
my
taking
life-
care of the whole house while I was gone.
Yeah, just rearing the children and working, that sort of thing. Working my fingers down to the bone. I started
Looks
a
like
new.
your nails are pretty nice.
Thank you. They're hot pink. If you are watching the video, I started a new supplement. I'm always trying
Oh,
to be
God.
my best me.
There's like always another supplement involved. There's always something. Like you're constantly reading things. It's like, you know what? You're not good enough. You need to add this.
See, you have it so wrong. I don't agree with your philosophy on that. I'm not saying that I'm not good enough. I'm just trying to be the best virgin. I'm not a virgin because
hasn't
the
been a
jig
thing
is
in a
up.
while.
I have 2 children.
Right.
Okay, there's no virginity.
Hopefully your parents
happening.
aren't listening to this.
Oh shoot, Dad!
gosh.
Does he know?
I don't
Does he
know.
know we sleep in the same room?
I don't know if they know about birds and the bees. We should
We
tell
should
them.
teach them.
Yeah, pretty soon.
So it's not that I don't think I'm good enough. It's that I'm getting older, as we all are. But some of you folks that are listening might be in your 20s. Your skin has a lot of elasticity to it.
Or teens. God bless you.
God bless you. And but it starts to fade a bit as you get older, and I'm just trying to do whatever I can to kind of slow that.
How many pills are you up to now?
Well, I was taking, so when I started my weight loss journey, I believe hormones play a role in things.
Sure,
And as you start to get older, or at any age, your hormones can go out of whack. So I read an article by a gynecologist, and she was suggesting a few natural hormones or supplements that can help regulate things. So I tried them. But now I'm trying this thing called Better Than Botox. The brand is Apothecary. Thank you.
Apothecary. That is a hard
I
word.
have a hard time saying that one. It's normally spelled with a C. This one's spelled with a K.
And we're not
We're not getting sponsored
We're not
by
sponsored by
them.
anybody. So
I mean, if you want to sponsor us, but honestly, I've only been taking it for like maybe 4 or 5 days, and I swear this morning my skin looked
but
brighter.
it's called Better Than Botox.
Better Than
by
Botox.
Apothecary.
Yes.
I mean, that's kind of a generic name. That's like saying drugstore.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, it's. Okay.
And then I'm trying a new one called Glow Getter.
And you getting that glow, girl.
I'm getting that glow. I'm chasing that glow.
Well, keep us updated. I'm really curious to see how all your supplements go. We have Reese. We have our daughter. She has a joke that says, "Yeah, I go to my teacher and I say my mommy takes lots of pills."
My mommy takes pills because I do. In the midday, I take like 4 different supplements, and I'm a registered dietitian. I am not one that thinks like, oh, just go to the supplements. Diet is number 1, and I focus on getting the right foods.
You got a lot
and
of
all
leafy
that.
greens. You got a lot of vegetables. Very
and,
good.
and all that good stuff. But
Yeah.
it's never bad to help fill in the gaps.
Right. Right.
That's my philosophy. So that's basically what my boring life has been up to.
Well, I went to
Skincare.
Vegas. Mine sounds pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Thanks for making us these coffees here. I appreciate it.
Hey,
so
you're
I can,
welcome.
Tell us our little story. You ready?
Yes, I am ready.
Okay. Today's story is about the murder of Ana Kriégel.
Ana Kriégel.
Yeah. So it looks like Kriegel. Like if
Okay.
you're just looking at it, Kriegel. But it's pronounced Kriégel.
I've never heard of this one.
Yeah. So get ready.
I'm ready.
I'm gonna see if I can not cry. So we'll see.
Oh, geez. That doesn't sound good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not. So Anastasia Kriegel was born in Russia in 2004.
I was thinking Russia with that last name.
Really? Mm-hmm. I think the last name is actually Irish.
Oh, really? I don't know. For some reason, Russia
Yeah.
popped into my head.
Okay. Well, yeah.
So
Russia
she was
right.
born in Russia when?
2004.
Oh, she's a youngster.
Yep. And placed in an orphanage.
Oh, geez.
In 2006, when she was 2, she was adopted by Geraldine Kriegel and her French-born husband. Oh, maybe French.
Oh.
French-born husband, Patrick Kriegel. Some people said his name was pronounced Patrick, but I think it's Patrick. It's Patrick. I looked it up. A lot of people say Patrick. So
Well, it's possible they pronounced it differently because I'm a expert in all things French because I just finished watching Emily in Paris,
Mm-hmm.
and that one character was Camille, and they pronounced it Camille.
okay.
So it's possible it was just pronounced differently.
Yeah. So maybe I'll go with Patrick.
Well, whatever.
I think to be honest to him, sorry, Patrick. So I'll go back and forth. We'll see. But anyway, they came to live in County Kildare, Ireland, which I feel like we've talked about County Kildare before, but I don't know if we
I don't
have.
think so.
Okay. My memory's terrible, so that's okay.
I don't think we've been to Ireland in this podcast.
Yeah. Well, here we are. So even though her parents had no cultural links to Russia, they tried to make sure that Anna kept connections to Russian culture, like keeping her original given name, which was Anastasia, which I just called her Anna. So you know that they called her Anna.
Okay, so they did call her Anna.
Yep. Which, yeah. So now everybody, called her Anna. Also, when they first adopted Anna, they announced the adoption by giving those little Russian dolls to their friends and family,
That's
and
neat.
a picture of her, and we're welcoming Anastasia to our family. So they want her to know about herself, know that she was adopted, and be proud of her heritage and everything, which I think is super cool.
That's awesome. Well, it's like that's where she was born. That's where she came from.
Yeah,
it's like,
not a
yes,
secret.
you're coming to our family, but that still existed.
Right, exactly. So we're not trying to take it away from you. We just want to love you.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. So when Anna was a little kid, she used to love dancing and putting on shows. So just a super cute little kid, really loved to make people smile and just kind of, do the best she could, making them laugh and, just smile in general. So her mom said she spent hours and hours in the front room listening to music and just trying to learn the words to the music and trying to put down dance moves and stuff, like if any of us have ever tried to do like the Thriller dance moves,
Oh, yeah.
for Michael Jackson. That's what I pictured right away. So yeah, just a standard, good, cute little kid, doing her little dances, just, being as cute as ever. She uploaded a few of these videos to YouTube and had like a small little following. She had like 100 subscribers or so as she was getting older, obviously, not when she was
Yeah, I
like
was
4.
wondering how old she was when she was uploading these.
Yeah, teens,
Teens.
young teens, yeah. 11, 12, 13, 14, around there.
Because she's young. Our son was born in 2008, so that would make her like 17 at this point.
Yep. So she did have, YouTube. She also had, she was getting older, Snapchat, Instagram, all that sort of thing. So this is very like,
Current.
right now kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, she was like a little singer actress, like a lot of little kids.
Like to perform.
Yep. Unfortunately, as Anna got older, she started to suffer from some problems, physical and mental illnesses. For instance, she had a huge tumor behind her right ear
Oh my goodness.
that made her like partially deaf. So it was so big that it was like putting pressure on there and just like preventing her from being able to listen on the right side. So as she developed and got older, she'd start to like go to the left side of people as she came into a room, just so she can hear them.
Sure, that makes sense.
Yeah. She had to have like a 6-hour surgery to actually have her removed.
Wow.
So it was a huge deal for her. Went through a lot of things with that. She also had a bad scar on her head And some people said it was from the tumor. Some articles said it might have been from an eye surgery that she had, a corrective eye surgery. I wouldn't think I mean, the occipital lobe is in the back, but I wouldn't think they'd have to go into the
No,
back.
because I think when they do an eye surgery, they just go through the eye,
Right.
if I'm not mistaken. I mean, I'm certainly not a doctor, but like my uncle, I think had a retinal surgery, like detached.
So I'm going to say...
And there was no exterior, scars.
Yeah, depending on the article or the YouTube video, they say, but I'm pretty sure that was from
The tumor.
Yeah, from the tumor. So, but yeah, just a lot of different little things involved. Also, when she was 2, she was brought over, so she was automatically kind of behind on language because she was, Russian, and that's what she spoke in Russia, and then came over to Ireland where, you speak English, and it just kind of confusing. So she was already behind everybody.
Kids learn really quickly, though.
They do. So it's throughout this story, you're gonna hear like that she was just kind of, I think she had some developmental delays too, just based on what I'm kind of feeling a little bit here. But you'll see. So when Anna was around 11, she was going from primary school to secondary school.
Okay.
Which is kind of like elementary to junior high.
Middle school.
Yeah. Kind of from the little kid school to the big kid school. Right.
And what year was this? I'm sorry.
When she was 11.
Oh, when she was 11. Okay.
So, her teachers were worried. Like, she was really excited. She's like, oh, this is going to be great, a brand new start and whatever. But her teachers were worried because Anna was, kind of awkward. Didn't make a lot of friends. Like, didn't really know the right things to say to make friends. I guess is a good way to put it. She was a target for bullying. Because one thing, when she was 14 years old, she was 5'8". So she was pretty tall.
Okay. I mean, that's not a big deal.
No, I mean, there's a lot of tall girls, a lot of,
I mean, our daughter's 10 and she's got a child in her class that's taller than the teacher. It's
right.
I mean, to me, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, there's a lot of things here where people are like, this is why. And it's like
no.
It's not just that, there's got to be more to it.
Of course not, yeah.
Right, just being tall. Like, we had a girl on Cameron's flag football team. She was 6'1", I think.
And she's 13.
13, yeah. She's 6 feet, 6'1". And I was like, you're tall. And I really... helped her out. Just trying to give her confidence. Be like, you're super tall. You got to use your abilities. Like, you were given this like, gift, And she's like, oh, I hate being the tallest kid because you don't want to be stared at and stuff. And I'm sure
you stand out. I mean, when you're 6'1" at 13, you stand out.
And kids are dicks.
Sometimes they don't want to stand out.
Yeah, right. Because it's especially junior high or middle school, whatever, secondary school. It's like, I just want to blend in, not be looked at, and things like that. But anyways, she was 5'8". So you're 5'2". So
I'm 5'3". Thank you.
Oh, 5'3". I'm sorry.
You always take that inch away from me.
Yeah. Well, I need all the inches I can get. So
yeah, you do. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. So not really sure how tall she was at 11, but just it's safe to say
taller
that she's
than the average.
Right. She didn't like standing out, like we said, being the tall girl in school. She struggled socially, didn't make a lot of friends in primary school, so her teachers were understandably worried. And there was just I didn't see any videos of her, but I think she's just kind of awkward, just kind of odd a little bit. When you meet somebody and it's like,
you're a little different.
You're different, yeah. And I think she definitely had that for her. So makes it really hard as a kid. So sure enough, when she made the move to secondary school, she struggled making friends.
So she didn't go off to the secondary school with the same people she was in primary school with?
She did, but she didn't
probably added more to the mix too.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. More people to kind of target her and whatever it might be.
People can be mean.
They can, especially
like everybody
kids.
Doesn't have to be the same.
No.
Someone can be different. That's okay.
Well, we're all different, man. Like we tell our kids, anybody who's normal is pretending.
Like my biggest thing is under no circumstances do you be mean to somebody.
No, absolutely not. Our kids are pretty decent, so.
Yeah, they are. They're good kids.
Yeah. So she struggled making friends because she lacks social skills and the whole teasing and picking on her from her height. The fact that she was adopted, kids would be like, you're adopted, you don't have real parents and all that kind of stuff.
Unbelievable.
Like you have to be a really dipshit kid to be able to say that kind of stuff.
And you got to wonder, like, what goes on in your house that you would even think to say that to somebody?
Right. It's just some bad stuff. That's what we tell our kids if somebody's mean to them. Like, you don't know what's going on in this kid's life. You don't have to take it, but, don't talk to this person, but don't try to engage.
No.
So they might have a terrible home life that might get beaten and stuff. Like, just know that you're lucky you have a good spot. So she was also a target on social media and YouTube. So at first she would just get some mean and negative comments like, this video sucks or this is stupid or why are you putting this on here or whatever, which always comes with the anonymous YouTube comments. But eventually she started getting death threats too.
Oh my gosh. She's a child.
Right. That's
The
it.
hell is now? Are these children making these threats?
Some children, some adults.
Get a life.
No shit. It's pretty gross. Like one comment was, "You should be executed."
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like, who comes on anywhere on the like? There's a lot of that crap on the internet, but like, just don't do that crap, man. If you're one of those people, like if you're listening here, a troll, like just try to take the high road,
And I think most people are not the trolls.
No, most people are not.
It's such a minute percentage of the population, but they stand out so much because they're so shockingly mean.
It's like the minority, the vocal minority or something.
You know, and it's so silly. Like I read a lot of recipes. I'm just huge into cooking. And on the Food Network, I like to read the reviews to see what people are saying so I can find out if it's something I want to make. And it's always the anonymous ones that are the negative ones. And they suck. Like, they're not giving you a real reason why the recipe isn't good, but it's bringing down the score of the recipe.
And then you feel like your review has to be higher rated. If I was going to give it a 4, it's like, well, I got to balance out this other one, so I'm going to give it a 5. I don't like a piece of it.
It's just don't be negative. If you are feeling so shitty inside, go get a counselor or a therapist.
Yeah.
Don't put it out there.
Yeah, don't suck.
Making an 11-year-old saying you should be executed.
Not to mention, she also got some sexual comments too.
Gross.
And messages and stuff. And, that's one of those things you got to watch out for your kids these days.
Scary. Very scary.
Yep. So then we go to 2017 when Anna was 13 years old. She was volunteering at a Halloween event.
Okay.
She loved volunteering. She just loved it, loved to be helpful, loved to be the one that was like, oh, thank you so much for helping. Just love that whole aspect, right?
She seems very social.
Yeah, it seems like it. Seems
Putting
like
herself out
she
there.
She wanted friends. Like, she wanted it. She wanted it for herself.
That's so sad.
Yeah, it is sad. And like you see her and stuff, like I put in here, I think once that like you'd be friends with her, I think.
Yeah, well, if she's like a kind person, you can't be mean to somebody who's kind. I mean,
you know how you have like some people in school that it's just like, they're nice enough, but sometimes they ask like weird questions that are a little like weird and annoying.
Yeah.
Like, I have a feeling she was probably like that.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
But in a million years, I could have never been mean to her.
No, both me and you in high school, kids like that, you just like, placate them. Like, you have a guy at work that is like that, it's
he's
just
precious.
Yeah.
And he doesn't care what I have to say or what's going on.
Right.
And he just will run up to me and start telling me the story, like as if I knew the topic that was going on in his head.
Yeah. And you're an adult.
He's so sweet.
And you just nod your head.
And
like,
I smile
that's
that's awesome. Good for you.
Yeah,
But
you're not going to hang out with the guy anytime.
I mean, I'm not going to go out and have like a Saturday evening with him. No, but he's lovely to talk to at work.
Yes, exactly. So anyways, Anna was 13, volunteering at this Halloween event. She was excited because she loved volunteering. Like I said, she was a good kid. While she was volunteering at this event, unfortunately, 4 older boys came up to her. So she's 13. They don't say exactly how old, but I'm saying 16, 17, 18 area.
And they're at her school?
At this Halloween, like, it was
like a community event? Okay.
Yeah, mostly for little kids.
Okay.
Just for celebrating Halloween and whatever. But yeah, these 4 older boys come up to her. Older teenagers. And Anna was immediately intimidated by the boys, but she's also curious too, because she's 13 and she's just like, oh, hey, how's it going? So the boys like knew that she was intimidated and kind of like feeding off it a little bit. So they started to rile her up and play with her a little bit, and not physically just yet, but just kind of like
verbally and messing with her.
Yeah. So what are you doing tonight? Can't you just picture like 4 dickhead boys just like kind of feeding off each other and being jerk offs. So at one point, one of the boys said to her, "You're gonna have sex with me, Anna, tonight."
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he grabbed her butt while doing so.
Gross. Keep your friggin' hands to yourself.
So she's 13. Just imagine like a little girl going through this. I'm sure many women listening to this right now, that's probably happened to you, unfortunately. And I'm sorry, because some boys or people can be real pieces of shit and just try to take your innocence away from you. So, immediately she was like, kind of got away from the situation. She's like, the alarm bells in her head were going off. This is bad.
Good.
So she got out of the situation of basically a sexual assault, is what this was. And after the event, ran home, told her parents immediately.
Good.
She was like, just boy touched me on my butt, and he said he wanted to have sex with me. And as a mom, imagine that coming home.
No.
It's like, this son of a bitch, like, he thinks he's gonna like take my daughter is innocent, that he's better than
And
her.
who are you to walk up to my daughter and say that to her?
Yeah.
And then touch her?
Right. And like play around. Like, that's disgusting. So she went crying into her mom's arms, and they ended up reporting the incident to the police.
Good.
Which is good. I'll absolutely report things, because these scumbags are going to do it to somebody else.
Of course.
Too.
If they're walking up to this girl at a Halloween event, they're certainly going to do it again.
Yeah. So the police ended up finding the boy, went to his house, but ended up giving him a warning.
At least maybe people were led to know what was happening, like his parents.
Right. Yeah. And he's in the database now.
Yeah. To be like, you will never do this again. But who knows if he's a sexual predator?
Yeah.
Don't do it again. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yep. So this was like one of the, kind of defining points in Anna's life a little bit.
Well, it probably showed her that the world can be a very scary place.
Yeah.
People can do things to you you don't want done.
Right. And like I mentioned, like I'm sure a lot of our listeners have been like, well, I've been through that. And, it didn't ruin me mentally. But
something happened to me when I was about 14 years old. I was staying in a hotel, and my sister and I went to play pool, and it was like one of those like indoor pool hotels where it was safe to do so. My mom,
like a holodome?
Yeah, it was like
Holiday Inn?
they called it a holodome at the time.
Just a Holiday Inn with a huge pool inside, heated and everything in Illinois.
And my aunt and I, or my mom and my aunt, were getting like showered in the room. We had driven a bunch, and this guy came and was going to show me how to play pool, and came up behind me and pulled me against him, and I could clearly feel his erection. I mean, it was traumatizing. He had his hands on my hips. My sister at the time was only like 10. She didn't know what was going on. And I was like, let's go. She's like, why? I'm having fun. I'm like, let's go. I was hysterical.
And that's like where these stories start a lot of times. Like this is, then he followed her and like brought her into a closet or something. And like he could have been watching you that weekend too.
Well, and the reason why we got away was because he walked to like, I saw him looking around, and there were hotel rooms literally like 10 feet away from us. If he was staying in one of those rooms, he could have pulled me in. So I literally grabbed my sister and ran to the room, and I told my mom. She went and got hotel security. They looked for him. They couldn't find him. But it was traumatizing.
Yeah, I thought of you because, just you. Like, you're a good kid, innocent, and you had a few things happen to you.
I'd never kissed a boy at that point. I mean, I'd never been touched by anybody. It's like this guy was probably in his 40s, and I was 14.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What is wrong with you?
Disgusting. And it's not like you were some like, buxom like 14-year-old.
No, I was wearing a high school track shirt.
Like, you looked like a kid.
I looked like a kid. I'm small chested. The shirt was large. I was wearing shorts. I had literally just been driving for like 15 hours.
Not that even any of those things matter.
It doesn't matter. I was a child.
Right.
But the point is, I didn't look older than what I was. In fact, I probably looked younger.
Yeah, I would say it.
So he was a complete pervert.
Yeah. And, it's one of those things that there's happened with a lot of people listening, like I said. And they're like, well, it happened. You got to get through it. But at the same time, maybe it's the straw that breaks the camel's back,
right.
too.
It's a culmination of things.
Right. And I think that's one of these situations where just something where, she was already kind of depressed and looking for friends, and life isn't going very well. And then this happens, and it's like, oh,
she had the tumor. She had the surgery.
Right.
Yeah.
And just a lot of things happening. So by this time, Anna's pretty depressed.
Oh, poor thing. And the thing is too, who is anybody to say you need to get over this?
Right.
It's like, well, I'm going through this.
Yeah.
You can't just tell somebody you should be done worrying about that.
Right. Everybody's different.
Everybody processes things differently.
Right. And so after this incident, she started self-harming.
Oh.
There would be times I read an article where she would actually draw like black eyes on herself before going to school to try to get out of going to school.
Oh.
So she'd be doing that. She made like social media accounts of just other people, and then pretended to bully herself so that she can show her parents and get like attention. So she was trying to get attention that way. She told teachers that she was thinking of killing herself.
Wow, that really escalated.
Yeah, absolutely.
She just did not want to go to school.
Yes. So it was.
Excuse me.
It was a really unfortunate situation here. Right away, her parents just seemed like good parents. They got some counseling sessions.
Good.
They're like, you got to work through this. You're, a teenager. A lot of things are going on, and they got her some counseling. Initially, she would, like most kids, she wasn't sharing a lot with the mental health people. Just kind of being guarded and everything. But eventually, she started getting a lot of help out of it.
Good.
Feeling better. So, one of the mental health support workers made some notes that they were very concerned about her lack of friends.
Okay.
So this wasn't just like a standard, teenage thing. It was just kind of like a glaring
So
thing.
she literally really had no friends.
So most of the articles I read said absolutely none.
Oh.
One article that's supposed to be one of the best, the Irish Times, I think it is, said that she had like one friend that she could have a sleepover with sometimes.
Okay.
So
it would have been good like if she could get into like a club at school or something. Even if they weren't friends, she was hanging out with them after school,
right, and there's some clubs where they're very accepting of different personalities and things, like the artsy ones, where
I wish she would have had that.
Yeah, that'd be really nice. So, but yeah, I think maybe one friend. She had her cousins also.
Okay.
So she had cousins, and those were really probably her best friends.
Yeah.
They were just built into the family. So, Anna's dad, Patrick, said that he would go to pick up Anna from school, and he'd see kids all hanging out in groups and chatting up each other, having a good time, while there was Anna sitting there by herself with her blue headphones and just kind of listening to music and looking down at the ground.
That's really heartbreaking as a parent to see.
It is.
Because you just want to fix it.
Right. And it's just like, gosh, like this kid is cool. Like, yeah.
And you know what your child has inside of them potential wise and what they have to offer the world. And there's nothing you could really do about it at school. You can't go in with them and be like, guys, she's cool. Hang out with her, talk to her.
Yeah.
You just feel helpless.
Well, we're in a similar situation a little bit, not obviously as bad as Anna's situation, but our daughter is very, social, has tons of friends to talk to. Our son is sticking to some friends that he made like in elementary school. Not really branching out right now in middle school, but I'd like to see a couple more kids. Not that number of friends matters at all.
It's just all really about quality.
Yeah, exactly. So it's tough. It's tough being a kid.
It is. It's very tough. I don't miss it.
At one point, I was even thinking of moving to be into the school systems that his current friends are in.
But you gotta in life. It's always gonna change.
Right, life's gonna be a challenge.
You have to adapt.
Yep. But yeah, so anyways, he'd find Anna by herself with her headphones, and he thought that she even said, quote, she was a weirdo.
Yeah, we're all a little weird.
But she was really misunderstood and, socially awkward. So she made things harder.
And it's one of those that you're like, gosh, as soon as she gets to college or whatever, things will change or whatever.
Let's just make it.
It's so like narrow-minded in middle school and high school. It's like you're put into this little tiny box. Whereas once you go off to college, it's like the world just opens up, I feel.
Right. And like the kids that never leave their hometown, it's just like you didn't see so much of the world, man.
I know.
Yep. But, like I said, she just seemed like, really wanted to make people happy. Seemed like a really nice person and a good friend to have. And here's why I put that you probably would have been friends with her. Then on May 14th, 2018, this is a terrible date.
Oh, jeez.
Anna got herself ready for school, as she always did. She asked her mom for a note to get her out of school earlier because she had counseling.
Okay.
And her mom always, wrote it. And she said, okay, here's your note. You're ready to go. And her mom had a meeting that day. So she had to take the train into town and, go to some important meeting. I think she was a financial person working in the financial world, I believe. But anyways, her mom's like, all right, you get ready for school. I'll see you later. She takes off. Anna got herself all dressed, got herself some breakfast, all ready to go, went to school just as usual. In the afternoon, she was scheduled for that counseling session, and she attended that as usual.
So she got herself to the counseling session?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I don't know if it was part of the school or not or whatever. Maybe nearby. I don't know. But after the counseling session, she came home, made herself some food. They said some chips, which, French fries, I believe.
Probably.
Yep. So
in Ireland.
Yep. And just, imagine a little teenage girl making herself some French fries for a little snack. And as she was making her food, she gave her mom a call on the phone. But her mom was in that meeting, so she couldn't answer.
Okay.
And she texted her right back, hey, I'm in a meeting. I'll call you later.
Sure.
Yep. So Anna just finished making her food and took it up to her room to eat it like she usually does and just go listen to music and, do her thing.
Hang out.
Yep. So that was around 4 something.
Okay.
Okay. So just before 5 p.m. that night, there was a knock at the door.
Okay.
Patrick answered the door, and it was a 13-year-old boy that was there for Anna. So Anna was 14 at the time.
And he was probably kind of surprised by this.
Yes.
It was not ordinary.
Correct. It's not something normal that comes up like, oh, you got somebody at the door for you. It's like
somebody's at the door for you.
It's more like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, he answered the door. There was a 13-year-old there for his 14-year-old daughter, Anna. Patrick called up Anna, said, Anna, someone's here for you. said the boy's name, and Anna came down like kind of startled.
Like,
and,
who is he?
Yeah. So she looked at him and she's like, oh yeah, I know him, but like we're not friends.
Why are you here at my door?
Yeah. Like not the kind of guy that you'd be like hanging out with or anything. Just a boy that she knew of.
Sure.
Kind of like, passing in school or something. Like, okay, you're familiar, but what the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
So, the dad let them talk. They were kind of talking in the hallway. And you can he could kind of tell that they didn't really want him to hear it. So he's like, okay, well, I'm going to give them privacy.
Okay.
I'll go walk over here and let them have their little conversation as they're whispering. And Anna finished up talking to the guy and she's like, hey dad, I'm going to go out for a bit. I'm going to just grab my sweatshirt real quick, or jumper, as they say. And, I'll be right back. And he's like, oh, okay, that sounds good. That sounds good. Go ahead, have fun, whatever.
Sure.
So she grabbed her favorite sweatshirt, a hoodie, a black hoodie with like some goth markings on it, like kind of cool looking. You can, I'll definitely share them, but just like very, very, it stands out quite a bit.
Okay.
Very cool looking. So, Patrick realized that he forgot to ask her where she was going.
Right.
So they were already out the door and he's like, oh shit. So he runs over and by this time they're kind of farther down the street, like far enough where it's just like, it'd be weird if you're like, Anna.
Right. Right. And he probably doesn't want to make it awkward for her. He's like, finally, someone's coming over. I don't want to ruin it.
Right. Exactly. So he's like, okay, yeah, I'll just, I'm sure.
Let them.
Like, she's a good kid. She would always communicate. She's even the type of kid, like, if she was not talking to you, she would text to tell you I'm not talking to you.
Okay.
Like,
so she really put her cards on the table.
Yes. Like, what she's thinking and everything. So anyways, yeah. He's like, well, all right. Well, then he started watching them and it was kind of weird because they were going towards this park called St. Catherine's Park.
Okay.
And he noticed that the boy was walking like well ahead of her. Like kind of with her still, but they weren't like talking and walking together.
Okay.
It was almost like she was just following him.
Interesting.
Like, hey, follow me.
Yeah, that wouldn't sit well with me because I'd be like, if you came to walk or come with her, why are you not walking with her?
Right.
Jerk.
Yeah. Right. At the very least, this kid's a jerk.
Yeah.
Right. So, he's like, okay, that's weird, but okay, I'm sure she'll be back soon. So about 15 to 20 minutes after Anna left the house, Geraldine, Anna's mom, had called her back. She was home on the bus or on the train, whatever it was, just got back from her meetings and was like, okay, I'm going to call my daughter. But it went straight to voicemail. A little after that, Geraldine got home and asked Patrick, where's Anna? Patrick kind of said the situation. A boy came over and they started walking over by St. Catherine's. I'm sure she'll be back. I kind of forgot to ask them where they were going and everything. So immediately Geraldine was worried.
Right.
Because of the reasons that you stated earlier.
Yeah. And, again, it's somebody they don't know.
Right. And they don't know that, they know that she doesn't normally have visitors.
Yeah. It's out of the, like we said, out of the ordinary.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny, though, like men are different than women. Like, oh, I forgot to ask them where they were going.
And mom's like, holy shit, what's going on?
It's kind of like when you go out with your guy friends. I'm like, oh, what are they doing? What did they do this or that? And you're like, I don't know. We just talked about basketball or whatever. It's like, what? You didn't ask him about the new house?
Right. You're like, oh, are they redoing their kitchen? I'm like,
I don't know. I'm like, well, I heard they were. What color did they do for the... You're like, I have no idea.
Are they pretty happy in their marriage? I think. I mean, it didn't complain that much.
Yeah.
So I think it's
women
good.
are just more... typically, they inquire more.
Yeah, which is why I like to hang out with women more. It seems that there's more depth
of conversation.
Yeah, guys, we like to kind of just keep it simple.
Talk about your fantasy football, March Madness, etc.
Scratch our butts. Yeah, a lot of butt scratching.
A lot of grunting and butt scratching.
Right. So, Geraldine was immediately worried. Wouldn't worry a lot of parents around this age, but special circumstances here. At 5:30 p.m., Geraldine texted Anna, "Home now, like home now."
So did they confirm that she had her cell phone? Did she bring it with her?
Yes.
Okay.
So, always had it on her. And so no response after a few minutes. Then again, Geraldine's like, answer me now or I'm calling the police.
Now, did they have a car? Could they drive over to the park and look to see if she was there?
Yep. So, Geraldine was worried, like she wasn't going to call the police, but she wanted Anna,
to know the urgency.
Yeah, just call me back. I have the instincts. You have a terrible feeling, let's just get back to me somehow.
Absolutely.
Okay, so like you were guessing, Geraldine had enough waiting around. So she went outside, walked towards St. Catherine's, it was pretty close, tried to look for her daughter everywhere, didn't find her. So she came home, jumped in the car with Patrick, and went looking for her that way, but still no luck. Luckily, they knew the first name of the boy
Okay.
because, he introduced himself at the door.
And he did go to school with her, this
Yes.
person? Okay.
I think, you know what? I think he did. I'm pretty sure.
I mean, one would assume if he was close enough to walk to the house and he's in her age range, you would assume they go to the same school.
And she recognized him, knew of
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
So at the very least, she knew him. But yeah, they went on the Facebook, got his last name, and found it somehow. So it's got to be a pretty unique first name. So in this whole situation, you don't know the name of this boy because he's young.
Okay. They don't release it.
Yeah. So they're not sharing it. So that's why I'm not using it. But, they found him on Facebook. They started calling every single parent and saying, do you know this boy? Do you know this family, this first name, last name? And a lot of friends are just like, no, sorry, I can't help you. By now it was starting to get dark. So they're like, we haven't heard anything. This is not like her. Something is wrong.
That's scary.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's not even a bad feeling. Something's wrong right
Yes.
now. Well, like I said, wasn't that kid that would stay out late and not let them know. Around 9 p.m. at this point.
Jeez. So she's been out for close to 4 hours.
Yep. She was already, like you said, I just wrote, she was with this boy for about 4 hours, and they had no idea where she was. They knew something was wrong because she'd never do this. And so Geraldine and Patrick went to the police department and reported her as missing because it was her history of mental health issues and self-harm and those sort of things. The police took it pretty seriously right away and immediately went out looking for her. Anything was on the table. It could be a kidnapping, self-harm, runaway. I mean, who knows?
Could be anything.
Yeah, she's gone. That's the case here. So the biggest lead, obviously, was
the boy.
The boy. Yeah, exactly. Police found his family in the database that they have, typical family database.
Sure.
Whatever, they know the people living in their town. So immediately they went to the listed address to try to find him. Because the age of the boy, like I said, he's never named, but he's known simply as Boy B.
Boy B.
Yep. So this is Boy B. Police went to the address, explained to the boy's parents that their son was the last person to see Anna, who had went missing. And then they sat Boy B down. He was at home.
Oh, wow. He's at home. Even scarier.
Yes.
Where the hell is she?
Right. So sat him down in his living room. He's getting fidgety and stuff. He's just nervous, which you'd be nervous if police show up at your house.
13-year-old talking to a police officer.
Right. So they're like, okay, just tell us what you've been up to today, buddy. And I can just, we're just trying to find this girl. And so he's like, well, I went to the park with her and I realized I had homework to do. So I left her there around 5:40.
Okay. So he says peace out at 5:40.
Yep. And less than an hour of hanging out, really a few minutes.
For about 40 minutes, right? Because he came to the door around 5.
Yeah. So about 40 minutes of hanging out. And he had no idea if she left the park because he was gone. He's like, I just left. I don't know if she left with, with somebody else or whatever it was. And I'm just gone. So this lead was kind of useless at this point. It was like, okay, you were with her, then you weren't, and she's gone.
And he doesn't know what happened to her from there.
Right. So the police are like, okay, we got to find some other clues. Maybe look at some CCTV footage from the park.
Yeah.
There is some CCTV footage. So, they review everything. They see them coming in.
Did they see the video that proved what he said, that he left?
Yes.
Okay.
So the next morning, still nobody heard from Anna.
Jeez.
So just put yourself in that situation.
No, I would be a lunatic, panicking, sick to my stomach.
Yeah.
I'd be a wreck.
Your sweet girl that everybody, makes fun of and stuff like that is gone.
And your mind is just spinning as to what could have possibly happened.
Right. Could be anything. Could be anything at all. So, so police put together a search team that combed the area, like search teams do, kind of like reaching out, like, arm's length and looking through everywhere. They
combing through everything.
Yep. They knew they went towards the park, so they're going into the fields nearby. They're kind of looking through everything here. Calling every single person that could have possibly been in contact, looking for witnesses, saying, did you see this boy and this girl walking together? Did you see, what time was it? Trying to just kind of piece everything together at this point. But really, not a whole lot of great leads. A couple of people saying like, yeah, I saw them together. Okay, good, fine. At this point, they didn't know what to do. So they decided to go back to the only lead that they had.
The boy?
Boy B. Yep. Even though they got close to nothing out of him the first time, it's like, we got nothing.
Yeah, and then you ask again and see if the story stays the same.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to start to crack and deviate, or did what he's saying actually happen and there's nothing else to talk about?
Correct. So now Boy B told them a few more details.
Oh,
including why he went to Anna's house.
okay.
Obviously.
Well, that's interesting.
Right.
Now, was he not asked that the first time?
I don't know. Maybe it was. I'm sure it was, but maybe it was just like, I don't know. Just want to hang out. Maybe they were just like, at this point, they're like, okay, you saw her. He's a kid. They're like, okay, you were with her. What happened?
He's the piece of the puzzle. He's the reason she went out.
Well, it's starting to go more towards, instead of like, somebody that witnessed it, more like, okay, maybe more accusatory a little bit, kind of leading that way.
Because they're running out of other options.
Right, which sucks. It's like, just because, that's why sometimes I'm like, if you've talked to the cops at all, sometimes you can be added in as a possible person.
Yeah.
But that's one of those things. They're like, okay, we need to go back to this guy.
Because you hear these stories where, okay, say he did go to the house and they walked to the park and he did go at 5:40 to do his homework, and then some weirdo in a car grabbed her and the boy B has nothing to do with it. Is that possible? Yes, of course that's possible. Is it possible that he's lying?
Right.
Yes, that's possible too.
Right. Probably, just based on history of cases, way more possible somebody took her.
One would, yeah.
So,
and one wouldn't think a 13-year-old boy, at her school would be capable of doing something bad.
Right. So you ready for why he went to Anna's house?
Yes, I am.
He went to Anna's house because his friend, known as Boy A in the story, wanted him to. He wanted to get Anna to come talk to Boy A.
Okay. So Boy B was bringing Anna to Boy A.
Yes. I guess Anna had a crush on Boy A.
Okay.
And Boy A was kind of weirded out by the quote, weird girl having a crush on him. So he sent Boy B to Anna's house to bring her out to the park so that he could clearly tell her that there was no relationship that was going to happen between them.
Okay.
And he said to let her down gently, quote. So Boy B told police as soon as he brought Anna to Boy A, he took off and didn't see anything past that. So he's like, okay, so you didn't talk about this boy before.
But now it's just totally changed from what you said the night before.
Right. You're still going to the same place, but there's a reason for it. And there's a little bit more stuff going on here. Okay. So police were happy with getting more out of Boy B. And now they're like, okay, well, now we got to find Boy A.
We're shooting over to Boy A's house.
But they figured they'd go another step further with Boy B. So they brought him to the park where he brought Anna to. Okay. And they wanted him to kind of walk through things. Be
Recreate it.
Okay, you're here with Anna. You're walking with her right now at this point, right? Walk with us. Like, walk with us where you went, right? And he's like, okay. So, he brought them over to like a park bench. He's like, yeah, we were here. And then like a BMX bike trail that was at the park. He's like, and we were here. And this is it. After I left her right here. So they looked at the camera footage and they're like, there's not a lot of cameras like in the park. There's some to the entrances and stuff. So they're like, okay, you did come. And so they kind of got to take his word for it. But at the same time, like some of the things he was saying wasn't really matching up with where they were. So they're like, okay, still suspicious of what's going on.
And it just happened the day before. It's not like your memory is not serving itself. Like,
right.
You can recall what you did.
Yep. So, after they ended up talking to him, they got the address and obviously the name of Boy A.
Okay.
They're like, okay, let's go take him a visit. So Boy A had a similar story to Boy B. Imagine that.
Shocker.
He said he sat and talked with Anna for no more than 5 minutes. Let her down, gently, as he said, that they had a conversation about how he wasn't interested and he wasn't looking for a relationship. And he noted that she seemed annoyed and kind of pissed off, she, as you would expect, and that she left the park and he has no idea where she went. So he's like, she was into me. What can I say? I told her no. And she's like, whatever, and then left. So now the police took both boys to the park to do the same walkthrough.
Okay.
They're like, all right, guys. Okay. Well, so you were here.
And see if their stories match each other.
Yep. The weird thing, Boy B didn't take the same path that he did the first time.
Okay. So he's all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, police noticed the boys kind of look at each other.
To confirm, like, is this right? Is it?
And trying to communicate with their eyes. Like, kind of be like, kind of nodding this way and that. And
it's like you'd almost want to like have people standing between them so they can't see each other.
Yeah, but at the same time, they want to see how they interact.
Yeah,
like the police are used to this kind of shit, and especially 13-year-old. Like, it's basically a really stupid, like, person, wrongdoer, criminal. There we go.
Criminal, a wrong. Did you just say a wrongdoer?
A ne'er-do-well.
Oh my goodness.
A ne'er-do-well, if you will. So yeah, they noticed they were looking at each other, and immediately cop radar is like, okay, there's something going on here, right? So the police knew something was up. The park visit just moved the boys from just witnesses to official suspects.
Now, did Boy B's parents say, yes, he came home at 5:45 or whatever it was depending on how far. So he really would have only been with her for like maybe 40 minutes or so.
Yep, timeline and
Okay.
cameras.
So they
mesh.
confirm that.
Yep. So they brought both boys into the police department to question them because now they're moving the suspect.
Sure.
Okay. Meanwhile, posters were all over the town, as you can imagine. This was a big deal. That sweatshirt that she put on, the hoodie, like that was the pictures out there saying this is the last known thing she was wearing. It was her favorite sweatshirt, so they had plenty of pictures of it. Police were getting leads all over the town, and once it was kind of like, yeah, I saw them here. I saw one person here, but it was nothing really like helping them in the situation. Just confirming that they were near the park. Really, no real big leads besides the 13-year-old boys. So the police are interviewing these boys, and the boys weren't doing themselves any favors. One question was, how would you describe your relationship with each other? So boy B goes, I kind of know him through school. We talk in class,
But not close.
Yeah, not super close. Boy A, he's my best friend.
Oh, okay. Those are very different stories.
Yeah. So cops are like, okay. So there's something's up here.
Right. It's a fact. Like, are you friends with this person? If you're not, then why would you say that he's your best friend?
Correct.
Because you're lying.
Yep. So at the station, an officer noticed boy A was limping and kind of going at his arm a little bit.
Oh, no.
Yep. Like it was sore. So they asked him if he was okay. He's like, yeah, I'm fine. It's just that after I talked to Anna, I got jumped by a couple older boys at the park.
Did you?
Yeah. So he's like, I got jumped and I got hurt from kind of the when they jumped me. So, and they were like older boys, he said, like 16, 17, 18, older teenagers kind of thing. So this is basically a 13-year-old against two like teenage boys, like
A lot
a
bigger.
kid versus men.
Adults.
Basically. Yeah. And boy A started to become pretty important at this point. But what if he was lying? Can you say suspicious? Like it's just like, okay, so you're with her, and then all of a sudden you got jumped, and sure, like things, you can be jumped. That's okay, but just weird. It was kind of like, okay, that you're just adding this part of the story here.
Yeah, that's kind of a big thing.
Yeah, that's okay. But they asked him about what happened when he got jumped. Turns out he was very brave and pretty strong. He fought off these two older boys. And boy A was really proud to tell the police that he ended up getting one of them on the ground and started kicking one in the head.
Wow.
Yeah, so he overpowered them and just like, man, I got one on the ground, kicked him in the head. They got scared and ran. So the police officer's like, this sounds like a teenage boy trying
to boast himself up.
Yeah, make like a fantasy.
Superhero story. We just watched The Batman yesterday, and the Batman was able to overpower a lot of groups of people, but...
Right.
Maybe he's fantasizing such a situation.
Correct. And also like the whole kick in the head thing. It's like, you're 13, buddy. Like even if you kick somebody in the head, I don't even know if it would hurt that bad.
You would be scared shitless if a group of older teenage boys attacked you.
Right. And they would overpower you easily.
Yeah.
Like, it's like grown man strength versus like kid strength. It's like, not even close.
So again, another red flag that there's lies potentially happening.
Right, exactly. Police know this is bullshit.
Yeah.
By this point, they still take the information and make a sketch of the alleged attackers. Like they had a guy come in and be like, okay, what do you look like? And this, and they made some sketches. But they're just like, yeah, I'm pretty sure this is made up. Police also decided that they'd take boy A's shoe for DNA tests to see if they can get a match to any of the blood because he kicked these guys in the head. So they're like, okay, well, let's see if we can get a match. Maybe there's some blood on there and these guys are criminals and we can find them in the database, DNA match right away.
Sure. If they jumped you, maybe they did something to Anna.
Yep. But it would take like a couple weeks to get, or, at least a week to get back the DNA evidence, maybe a few days. I don't know. It would take some time, basically.
Sure.
So they took his shoes and they wanted to try to find a match. They took both boys' clothes from that evening for testing also, even though they were washed just to see what they could find. Just trying to grab anything they can at this point.
Wow, both parents did laundry that night?
I know.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's what I was you do a lot of laundry.
I do a lot of laundry. It's very possible that I could have potentially washed something Cameron wore just that evening, but both parents washed the clothes.
Well, maybe it was like uniforms for school. I don't know if they had uniforms, like who knows.
Because that kind of stands out to me a little bit.
It does to me too, and that was on one video, so don't take it with too much.
Okay.
Don't put too much into that. Because it doesn't come up again or anything like that. So let's see. Meanwhile, the police continued searching for Anna. And the longer that it took to find her, the more they were like, okay, this is moving from a missing person to a dead
homicide.
person. Yeah, exactly. So they started to look into bodies of water and things of that nature, just like, okay, we're looking for a body instead of a person.
That sucks so bad.
I mean, still a person, but her dead
Yeah.
body, basically. On March 17th, 2018.
Wait. Oh, okay. So we're going back in time.
No.
We were on May 14th, 2018.
Oh, maybe it's May. Oh, crap. I get May and March mixed up.
Yeah.
So-
They're a couple months apart from each other.
They are, because they both start with M.
Yeah, they do.
Okay. I'm sorry. God, I'm an idiot. Okay, so on the 17th.
So 3 days later.
Yes, 3 days later. They were looking for the bodies. They found an abandoned 17th century farmhouse called Glenwood House.
Okay.
Kind of off by itself. It was kind of a historic piece, like a house. But at the same time, nobody's lived in it since like a century before, basically.
Okay.
Like it was run down.
Falling apart, essentially, I would assume.
Yep. Really kind of pretty from the front, almost like a plantation looking place, a mansion kind of thing. Like, pretty nice looking, but and behind, like it was kind of boarded up. I had fire damage from multiple things, whatever it was. Just an unused house with like spray paint all over it in the back. Like in the front, it looked pretty good, but in the back, like you go behind and it's kind of busted open.
Was it near the park?
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty close to the park. They ended up finding this Glenwood house. They're just like, okay, we're looking everywhere.
Of course.
Let's pop into this house, see what we can find. It was a well-known place locally because teenagers used it as a place to kind of meet and drink and do some drugs.
Sure.
Have some teenage
Relations.
sex. Yep, exactly. Basically, like it looked kind of like a trap house or like a drug house. Like if you go inside, like
Well, any kind of abandoned property could potentially be used as such.
right. So spray paint, like picture like broken windows and just like crap all over the floor and just like
And I'm sure it was like scary and spooky, so kids would like dare each other, like, I dare you to go in there at night.
correct. Yep. So, because teenagers used it for this kind of stuff, police knew about it. They got called there every once in a while, maybe loud parties and stuff, and just like, okay, break it up. So
So
knew it.
they're only just looking into this house 3 days later?
Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
Because there was a search party going through. I'm surprised this house wasn't looked at sooner.
I am too.
Okay.
So police searched the Glenwood house, and looks the same as it always does. Soiled condoms, spray paint, empty bottles, all kinds of things. Just kind of a gross place. They were hoping to find some kind of sign that Anna was there, but nothing so far in the downstairs level.
Okay.
Okay, they kind of switched up to the second floor and came upon what is referred to now as room 1.
Room 1.
Yep. This is the only room in the story, so I don't know why they call it room 1.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Okay. So as they entered the room, it was dark like the other rooms because it was boarded up a little bit and the windows were boarded up. But there was a strong smell of blood immediately.
No.
As soon as you got into the room, as soon as you stepped in. Okay. So lying on the ground towards the windows, there was something there. And they described it the police described it as either a mannequin or something worse.
Oh, no. Obviously, they're on the lookout for a body.
Yep. Turns out it was the body of Ana Kriégel.
Oh, jeez.
Yep. So she was naked except for her black socks. Police could tell just by looking at her that she was brutally attacked.
Unbelievable.
Yep. At first, police thought that there was red cloth on her face, like there was some kind of a cloth like covering her face. But it turned out it was just dried blood and matted hair. So she had some tape around her neck also, with her hand under the tape, as if she was like trying to
get it.
Yeah,
Oh,
like
my gosh.
her 3 fingers were stuck under it.
That is heartbreaking.
So she was actively trying to get it as she died.
Poor baby.
Yeah. Most of the injuries were to her head, chest, and neck. It was later confirmed that Anna was beaten very terribly.
What the hell?
Yeah.
I mean, she's a freaking 14-year-old girl that went on a walk with a couple of 13-year-olds.
Right.
How does this happen?
Innocent girl that likes to help people and volunteer and
Well,
stuff.
and again, we have a child this age.
Yes.
It's like, it's so hard to believe that somebody could do this.
Right. So, she was beaten terribly with some kind of objects. So blunt force trauma with some objects here. There was 2 murder weapons used, both in the room.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. Was it there?
Yep. One was about a 3-foot long stick that had nails on both ends.
Oh my God. Like somebody made this?
Yeah, seemed like it. Like a homemade kind of thing with just nails on both ends
That's sick.
to hurt somebody or something like that. And then also a concrete block. So like a cinder block kind of thing. with chunks of flesh still in it
Oh my God.
and hair on it as well. So there's so much blood on the floor that, when they came in, they could smell it, that some of it was still wet.
Unbelievable. And this had been days.
Yep. And her clothes were strewn all over the room.
Poor baby.
Yeah. So, they said Anna also had a lot of self-defense wounds. So she was fighting her ass off.
Good for her.
God bless her. She had bruised hands, bruised arms from trying to punch and kick and scream and stuff. I imagine some skin under her nails. And she had fake nails at the time. She was wearing, I don't know if it's acrylic or whatever, some kind of fake nails, and most of them popped off during the fighting, like in the room. They found them in the room. Obviously, one of the worst crime scenes that the police had ever seen.
Oh my gosh.
In their history.
Now they have to go tell the friggin' parents this happened.
Yeah, they've got a 14-year-old girl that was bludgeoned to death with her pool of her own blood in the room. Just horrific. I mean, police see a bunch of stuff all the time, and this is something.
Yeah, they'll never get that out of their heads.
Yeah. So police kind of split up room 1 into 2 parts. There's this part as soon as you enter the room, and this is where most of the blood was. So, they imagine the attack started as soon as you enter the room, and then they moved her over closer to the window so they could see her a little bit better and what they were doing to her at this time.
The perpetrators?
Yes. So whatever they were doing sexually, or if they wanted to put something on her, or the tape on her neck, or whatever it was that they were
Physically,
doing.
whatever.
It was like they beat the shit out of her first and then moved her over to the window so they could see what they were doing. Okay. According to the autopsy, poor Ana Kriégel suffered from over 50 injuries, including a fractured eye socket, neck tissue hemorrhaging, a fractured jaw,
Jesus,
fractured cheekbone, lacerations all over the place, as you can imagine. I'm not going to list them.
Whoever did this is an absolute monster.
100%. Like, this is
like a monster.
Sickening. Like, this is indescribably disgusting. And of course, as we're all expecting, sexually assaulted as well. You knew that was coming.
Well, the being naked part.
Yeah. So the autopsy put the time of death at around 45 minutes after she left the house.
Jeez. Right around the time that boy A, or B, I should say, said he left to do his homework.
Correct. So
this all went down very quickly.
Yep. So she probably never even got the chance to read the text from her mom.
No.
I just imagine, like learning this, that you texted your daughter and
she didn't even get it.
Yeah.
Because she was being brutalized.
Or she's actively getting like the cinder block, like
unbelievable. It's unthinkable. Unthinkable.
Yep. So never got that text demanding that she come home. She was probably in the middle of being beaten and sexually assaulted. The case was unbelievable because police were looking at a murdered and raped 14-year-old, and their only suspects
are 2 13-year-olds.
Are 13-year-old boys.
2 13-year-old boys that go to school with this girl.
Like, that can't be stressed enough that this is like a really effed up situation.
We have a 13-year-old boy in this house.
Which is why initially they weren't looking at these, one boy.
They're children.
Yeah. They were like, okay, clearly this kid had nothing to do with it, or like, I don't know.
I mean, they're children.
And now it's like these
we still
boys
pour like milk in a cup for our kid for dinner. Like they're children. I can't say it enough. Like, how could they be capable of such a thing?
Our 13-year-old boy has no idea how to make ramen, no idea how to make like grilled cheese. Like,
I mean,
this is a kid that, is just kids.
They're kids. 7th grade kids.
They probably still have some favorite toys and things from their childhood. It's.
I mean, I still give my kid a kiss on the head and tuck him into bed at night.
Right. They still need their parents. They still crave their parents.
You can't wrap your head around that a child could be capable of brutalizing another person, another child.
And sexually assaulting,
and sexually assaulting.
Our son doesn't even talk about boys or girls or any kind of like interest, It's just
how this
crazy.
could happen. So they're assuming boy A and boy B are the perpetrators.
They're definitely suspects.
Yes.
100%. So police went to get the boys off the streets right away. They're like, okay, just get them somehow. The problem is they're 13.
Right.
So because they're so young, they're not allowed just to go get them. Like, there's rules depending on where you are. And in this area of Ireland, they have to notify the parents 24 hours that they're coming and say, okay, they're working.
It's not an instantaneous thing.
Correct. They have to go through a bunch of checks and balances and things. They weren't allowed to arrest the boys in police uniforms or in police cars. just to, I guess,
Okay,
intimidation.
let me go in my house and put on my polo and jeans and get you arrested.
Yep.
That's so much better.
And they couldn't even use known unmarked police cars because it's like, even though they're unmarked, people know they're police cars, you know, like Chevy.
So they had to like go get their own cars.
They had to rent cars.
Jeez.
Yeah. So the police notified the parents and they rented the cars and they said, your sons are being arrested for the murder of Ana Kriégel.
Imagine what those parents must have thought.
Like,
you're like, what?
This isn't right.
No.
They got the wrong people. Like, police are doing
This is
bad
impossible.
work. The police screwed up here somehow. You know, there's no way our boys did this. But yeah, they rented cars, showed up in plain clothes 24 hours later, and they took the boys in.
And, you know, 13-year-old boys are very susceptible to cracking, too.
Absolutely.
Because, again, they're children.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping you tell me that they do.
Yep, about to tell you about the interviews. So the boys were arrested, taken to different police stations.
That's what's important, is separating.
Yep, they were questioned, got their DNA taken.
And I'm sure, I'm sorry to interrupt you, that with these acrylic nails that Anna was wearing, I would hope that and assume there's a shit ton of DNA under them. Because it sounds like she fought her ass off.
Yes, you would think. So one piece of DNA they did find on the scene included semen on one of Anna's t-shirts.
Okay.
Which would definitely be used to identify the attacker
Absolutely.
or attackers. So let's talk about the police interview with the boys. Boys B interview is more interesting.
Okay.
So his interview went like this. They said he appeared to have a large vocabulary for his age, like seemed pretty grown up. Mm-hmm. At one point, he described Anna as wearing synthetic leather trousers.
Synthetic leather trousers.
Like,
let's say that 3 times fast.
I mean, our son would be like pants.
I think they were black and we're like, no, they were red, Cameron.
Right. So I'm never putting our son in this.
No, you can't. Don't.
No,
don't
I'm
even.
gonna stop doing that. So, and you know, he a lot of times he would notice when the police like were kind of confused by things, and he'd be able to put answers into context.
So almost like a very crafty young man.
Yeah, and adult like you know, knew that, okay, this is confusing. Let me go back and backtrack.
Because again, your typical 13-year-old boy wouldn't be able to say synthetic leather trousers or whatever.
Right. In the Irish Times article, it said he sounded more like a young adult at a job interview than a 13-year-old boy accused of murder.
Interesting.
Yeah. So he told the police about a conversation he had with boy A about a month earlier. Conversation went like this. Boy A: hey, want to kill someone? Boy B: no. Boy A: why not?
Why would we?
Yeah. Boy B: that's retarded. Who would you want to kill anyways? Boy A: Ana Kriégel.
Boy, he had that in the tip of his tongue.
Yeah. Boy B goes, in your dreams. Which is a weird thing to say in your dreams, but it's just, I think it's more like a caught off guard, like, sounds like a great idea, stupid. Like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
You know, so maybe it was a nervous reaction or whatever, but weird nonetheless.
Right.
I mean, it's something.
I guess it's not your typical day that somebody says, hey, you want to kill somebody?
Right.
You're a little taken aback by that.
Right. At one point in the interview, they told boy B, we know you're lying. Like, there's a lot of things like he would tell the story and then tell it again. And, you know, this is hours and hours of interviewing here. So over a few days.
Okay.
And they're just like, and they had to be really nice because they didn't want to go to the court and be like, you like made this kid confess.
Sure,
you
coerced or whatever.
So they treated him really nice, like really, like they were like, hey man, you do push-ups and sit-ups and you do like pull-ups. Can you do a pull-up? He's like, oh wow, you can? That's really cool. So gave him a lot of breaks, like made like friends with him because, you know, through the process that they were trying to get through.
Like trust.
Yes, exactly. Gave breaks, even bought him like a snack a couple times and just, you know, those kind of things. But, you know, by the end, they're starting to get kind of pissed off, be like, we know you're lying. Mm-hmm. Like, this is like, tell the truth. Like, just, it'll make it a lot easier for you, your parents, everybody, trying to make them feel guilty a little bit, but not too guilty. Like, just so they can't, like, you know, kick it out of court. So, they treated him, you know, just like a child, like I said. After hours of interrogation with his mom next to him.
Okay, because that's what I was wondering, if the parents were there.
Yep. So legally, parents have to be there the whole time.
Man, that's got to be really tough as a parent.
Yep. At one point, boy B asks, can my mom leave? Is that okay? So I can tell you something? And they're like, in their head, absolutely. That'd be awesome. Legally, no.
They can't.
Correct. So he kind of shut her down again. They're like, we have some kind of confession.
Because clearly he wants to tell us something that he doesn't want to say in front of his mom.
Right. So, yeah, she couldn't leave, and he never said anything.
Oh, shoot.
So it was time to end the day, but they couldn't, every time they had to end the day, they couldn't put the boys in like holding cells because
Okay.
they're 13 years old. And
they don't necessarily have the proof that it was them that did this.
well, but they can still hold them because they're
Okay.
actively interviewing them. Picture like an
So-
adult who's being questioned about a murder, like you're in jail.
Right. Okay. So they're going back home with their parents?
Nope. So they ended up making an office, like taking one of the offices in the police station and bringing in like a bed
Okay.
for their
A
parents. And them.
makeshift hotel room, basically.
Correct. Yeah, in the police office. So they had sleeping arrangements. Just a weird situation. So on one of the days of questioning, the police took boy B, told him about some DNA tests they got back on boy A's boots.
Okay.
The supposedly ones he used to kick the attackers in the head with.
Yeah.
They told boy B the blood on boy A's boots were all Anna's blood. So he's like, shit.
And this is true. This actually was.
Yep, they
So
got it back.
clearly you were in this house.
Yep. So boy B goes, are you joking? Are you serious right now? And the police, he's like, no, we're very serious. We're not joking about
This isn't
murder.
a joke.
Yes. He said, can I go outside real quick? He started to like kind of freak out. And, his mom or whatever was like, are you going to be sick? Are you okay? So he went outside right away. Came back in. He said, denied anything having to do with Anna. Had no idea how the blood got on boy A's shoes. Said he was trying to stick with the story, but eventually there were some holes in his stories, but not everything they were looking for. It was just kind of going back and forth until day 4.
Okay.
So it was a lot of the same thing until day 4. He started the day like this. What I told you yesterday was a lie.
Okay. Maybe we're going to get somewhere.
Yep. He said they didn't go to the park at all.
But CCTV saw them at the park, though, right?
So they kind of like went through the park a little bit.
Okay. So they never really stopped at the park. They kind of took the path through the park.
Yes. So they went through the park. They weren't like hanging out at the park.
Okay.
Exactly. So we never hung out at the park. We went straight to the Glenwood house to meet boy A.
Clearly, because we're talking a 45-minute ordeal by the time her death was.
And it's not like this house is right there. It's like a little, a couple blocks away or
Yeah.
something. There's a map I can show.
Okay. So they met boy A at the house.
Correct. Within minutes of getting there, boy A went right at Anna. At one point, he even flipped Anna on some kind of weird wrestling, like judo move, like just right away. And while Anna was screaming at the top of her lungs.
Jeez.
Boy B said he was in so much shock that he couldn't move. And they were like, why didn't you stop it? And he's like, I'm thinking back. And
Probably one of those situations that all happened so quickly.
right.
I
And
froze.
yes, and that's exactly what he said. He's like, I just couldn't physically stop what was happening. He saw boy A putting his hands over Anna's mouth to keep her quiet while she was screaming, and trying to muffle her screams. And at one point, he said both Anna and boy A stopped and both looked at him. Kind of like just a weird stop and just kind of like, well, Anna's obviously like, help me.
Yeah, of
boy
course.
A's like, what are you staring at? Because he's in this like rage of fit of whatever the hell he's doing. And at that point, it freaked him out. He turned around and ran.
Boy B
Boy B ran.
just ran. Clearly didn't call for help or tell anybody.
Nope. So freaked him out so much, he turned around like a little 13-year-old coward, left and ran out of the house. He said he could still hear Anna screaming as he was running.
God.
He said the screams were more muffled, and then suddenly the screams stopped. Okay.
And I get, if you need to run because you don't think you can stop the situation, but get help.
Mm-hmm.
There's a girl being attacked right now. How do you just go home and go eat your dinner and go to sleep?
Yeah, you're complicit in a murder. At
Like,
this
you
point.
know what's happening here.
Right, exactly. He insisted that he did not think boy A was going to murder Anna.
I mean, I guess as most people wouldn't think a 13-year-old boy was going to murder somebody, but he did say, do you want to murder somebody?
Right. And it's like, that's exactly what people are saying. Like, well, he did say, you want to murder Ana Kriégel. But it's like, you never think, like...
Somebody's actually going to do it.
Yeah, that you're capable of it or whatever it might be. So police also showed him some pictures from the crime scene.
Oh, boy.
Just to try to get some kind of a reaction out of him. And, be like, okay, what do you think about these?
This is what happened.
Yeah, so he's kind of looking at him. And he's like, "Whew, man, I can't believe..." He's like, my best friend. And he's like, not Anna. Boy A.
But I thought it was just somebody you knew from school.
Right. So, no, it's clearly like a best friend. He's
So
like,
they are actually best friends. Boy A was telling the truth when he said he's my best friend.
correct.
And obviously the parents would be able to say, no, this is his best friend. He's
Right.
here all the time.
Right. And he was trying to distance himself and be like, oh, no,
I'm not associated with him.
So boy B actually said he recognized the tape around Anna's neck. He's like, that's my parents' tape. He's like, I gave it to boy A. It was in my garage. He said he needed to fix a toy that was broken. So I gave him this tape to go fix that toy. So he was surprised, like, oh, wow, that's the tape. So whether he was actually surprised or whatever,
Right.
who knows? But clearly there's a connection. Then they're like, okay, good. So this is your tape. Okay. So you're a part of this. That's basically what it's coming out to. So that was boy B's interview in a nutshell.
Okay.
And now let's look at boy A's interview, since he had no idea what's happened at boy B's interview. Boy A stuck with the same story the whole time.
Now, I'm assuming, though, that the police are saying, boy B told us exactly what happened.
They are.
So now it's your turn to tell us what happened in your version.
Yep. And he said, nope, he's lying. He's like, nope, he's lying. He's making stuff up. So boy A was sticking to his, like,
But, dude, her blood is on your shoes.
yep. So he said, yeah, we met at the park, and I don't know what else happened after that.
Okay.
Police told boy A the results of the successful DNA match.
Yeah.
Just like you said, on the boy's boots. That they even had enough evidence to prove these boots were used to inflict damage to Anna's body. So there was some kind of way they could prove that these were specifically used to kick Anna, like, and to harm her.
Of course.
Because of whatever trauma, maybe they found skin or something. Like, these were definitely used to harm Anna.
Yes.
Not just that you may have stepped in the room, but you did something. Like, these shoes, if you were wearing them.
Inflicted damage to her.
Correct. Like, we have this. We know this as a fact, right? So boy A stood by his story, denying he had anything to do with it at all. Said, I don't know how the blood got on there. I wasn't there. No, I don't even know what you're talking about. What a complete little 13-year-old piece of shit.
Yes.
Like, that's, I wrote that on my notes here. Just can't be stressed enough. This kid is
He's a complete sociopath.
completely. He's a scumbag, loser, idiot. I mean, I can't say enough bad things about this guy.
And that he didn't even crack. That just goes to show how deep his sociopathism is.
I know what you're
I
saying.
just made that up.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. So police realized they weren't going to get much.
Wow, they couldn't
the
even
scumbag.
crack a friggin' 13-year-old. That's how invested he was in his story.
But like I said, same thing. You can't push them too hard because they're not adults, and you don't want to have this thrown out of court. Right?
But boy B is saying we went to the house, we met at the house. There's DNA on his boots that prove he was in that room and inflicted damage to Anna. So it doesn't matter what you're saying, boy A, you piece of crap.
Right.
You did this.
Right. So police decided to check the boys' homes, which you would think they would have done earlier.
But maybe because of their age,
Yeah.
it's a whole thing.
Right. They had to get some warrants and whatever special things to see if they can find anything. So this was a good move because they found some shit.
Oh, wow.
Yep. In boy A's bedroom, they found a backpack that police are calling the murder kit.
Really? A 13-year-old has a murder kit.
It included a homemade Halloween mask, shin pads, knee pads, gloves, all of them sent for DNA
This
testing.
scares me very, very much.
Yes. It was pretty bad. They took both boys' phones and didn't find a lot on boy B's phone, but found some stuff on boy A's phone.
Searches and things like that?
Yep. A bunch of darker things like searching for, quote, the most gruesome tortures in history.
My God.
And horror stories. So like that alone is not going to say that, I'm sure kids search for all kinds of weird
Yeah,
stuff.
but when this is happening at the moment that this girl was brutalized and he's searching this up,
Right.
they're very dark and disturbing.
Yep. And boy A was also into something called like creepypasta. So it's basically like urban legends that are like shared around the internet about
Okay.
like really like horrible things, basically.
And people have morbid curiosities. I get that.
like everybody listening to this podcast.
Yes, hence the reason we're here listening.
And us talking about it.
But we also didn't torture and attack somebody.
Yep. So creepypasta is like passed around on the internet. You've heard of like Slender Man?
Yes,
On Roblox?
I heard about the whole killing, and that was girls, like 13-year-old
Yeah,
girls, 12
that's
and 13.
creepypasta. It's fake. It's fictionalized. It's all just stories. So it's not an actual.
Well, no, there actually was.
No,
there actually is a murder case.
Yeah, there is.
Yes.
Oh, that was doing that. Well, the original story of Slender Man was just,
No, that is just a tale, but there was actually a case.
Somebody that
yes.
copied.
And they were like 12 and 13-year-old girls.
Okay, so and then like remember that Momo thing that was going around?
Yes.
Like a weird looking like lady with the huge
Oh,
eyes.
that's so creepy.
Yeah, like look up Momo.
I'm like
and that's-
that is the stuff that like nightmares are just made of.
Yep. So they all the ones like that. That's all creepy creepy pasta. It's kind of like, it's called like copy pasta, copy and paste and share with other people.
Okay. I've never heard that terminology.
I didn't either. So that was new to me. But he liked one called Jeff the Killer.
Oh.
Some people say that he was obsessed with it, but I think he just liked the story. And I'll tell you why. It was, a creepy urban legend where Jeff the Killer was a 13-year-old boy. Fictional story. This is all fictional again. So 13-year-old boy, sound familiar?
Yep.
He was bullied and eventually he was bullied and eventually had lighter fluid dumped on him by some of the people bullying him, and they lit him on fire. So he had scarred face, and like people continuously made fun of him. He was just disfigured and scarred. So Jeff was so pissed that he wanted to murder these boys that did that to him.
That burned him.
Yep. So he did. He also murdered his parents and siblings or whatever.
That is dark.
And the story says that he's still out there. Yeah. Oh,
lurking in the dark.
Yeah. Still to this day, Jeff the Killer's out there. So kind of like when we were kids and telling the story of like the hook on the rearview mirror.
Oh, sure. Me and my girlfriends used to have sleepovers and do the whole Bloody Mary thing in the dark bathroom and tell ghost stories. It's all fun and creepy.
Right.
Until you go and murder a 13 or 14-year-old girl.
Yes, exactly. So they also found deleted searches. So, he searched and then purposely deleted them.
He knew to delete them.
Yeah, but it's, you can find anything.
Of course you can.
Basically. So some of those were, one in particular, big ones, a search for abandoned buildings in the area.
And clearly this house must have been very well known.
Glenwood House popped up. He clicked on it and read all about it. Okay, so they also found some pretty terrible searches like torture porn, rape porn.
Jesus.
Horse porn and child porn.
Horse?
Yeah. I don't know. Just weird curiosities, I guess. I don't know. And child porn.
So disturbing.
Now, maybe he was just looking for kids his age,
Well, sure. He's not an adult looking into child porn, but still.
Right. So who knows? We don't know for sure, but that was one of the searches on there. Either way, disgusting.
Disgusting.
So, yep. That was most of what they found in Boy A's house and on his phone. They didn't find anything worse with Boy B.
Wait, I'm sorry. What was in the backpack?
The murder kit?
Yeah, the murder kits.
There was like a...
Did you tell me what was in there?
I did. It was a Halloween mask that he made.
Yes, thank you.
Shin pads, knee pads, gloves.
Okay, thank you.
So he had gloves. So that's probably why there wasn't any fingerprints anywhere.
Okay.
And he was actively wearing this mask while he was doing it.
Oh my gosh.
It was like a half skeleton mask.
That scares me so much. This poor girl.
Yep. There was blood on this mask.
Well, that's just the thing. Clearly, this murder kit has the DNA on it.
Inside and out. Like not just on the outside, but also inside of it.
Horrifying.
Boy B even referred to this mask as like really cool looking. So he got off on this.
What a nightmare.
At Boy B's house, they did find something really kind of weird. A list of, let me see, murder kit. Okay, that was my point A. Stormtrooper.
I'm curious to know too, like these kids' histories. Like, you don't go from being a typical 13-year-old to doing something like this.
Right.
There had to have been things going on.
Especially Boy A. Like Boy B seems like he was caught in a terrible situation.
Boy A is a demon.
Yeah.
Like a demon from hell.
And Boy B, it's like, you should have known better, buddy. I don't know.
But something had to have been going on in Boy A's house that was showing signs. Mm-hmm. Like you don't put together a murder kit, and clearly it sounds like this murder weapon that they used to torture this girl with was made with a stick with the nails.
Yep, it does.
Like that's just crazy.
Ask me about that later too.
Okay, I will. Okay.
So anyways, at Boy B's house, they found a list of a bunch of boys' names, including him and Boy A, and it was a satanic club. They had a bunch of rules like don't talk about the club, don't mention Jesus, like just, little boys being weird and just like, it wasn't like kill people. It wasn't anything like that. Okay. It was just like being different.
Sure.
So it's just some weird club. That's all they found at Boy B, but everything was Boy A. So the only evidence they have against Boy B at this point are his own words. Okay.
Because clearly he doesn't have any DNA on his shoes and things like that.
Correct. So that's all they got is that he was there.
So you would question if he did. We know the room was covered in blood.
Yes, the walls, the ceiling.
You said the floor had so much blood on it that it was still wet 3 days later.
Yep, and they smelled it as soon as they walked into the room.
So one would assume if Boy B had been there when all of this went down, he would have had blood on his shoes.
don't believe he was there when like the bludgeoning was happening. I think he was just there when they were like struggling together.
Okay. And like, so then what you're saying is that his story was probably true then?
That's what I think.
That he saw him wrestling with Anna and then he took off.
But we don't know for sure.
But we don't.
All we know is what he's willing to share.
Okay. But again, there's not blood DNA on his shoes.
Right. Correct. So, let's see results. Yeah. Okay. So the results ended up coming back pretty quickly on Boy A's murder kit. As expected, every single item has Anna's blood on it. Also, the semen stain on Anna's shirt matched
Boy
the Boy A. Yep.
What a disgusting piece of crap.
With that, police had enough to charge both Boy A and Boy B with the murder of Ana Kriégel.
Okay, so they're charging Boy B even though his DNA hasn't been found on Anna or vice versa.
Yep. And that was kind of an issue locally, and whoever was following this case. People were like, maybe like an accessory to murder. Maybe.
Sure. I mean, we know he is.
Yeah.
Boy B went to the house. He was seen walking towards that direction with Anna. He brought her to that house. There's no doubt about that.
Right.
But did he murder her?
Like manslaughter or something like that. You'd think of something, or maybe like a third, I don't know what the degrees of murder are or whatever. I mean, something lesser, you would think.
He's 100% guilty.
Yes.
He brought her to her place of death.
But he wasn't the one that actually had the hand on it.
Yes.
Yeah. And meanwhile, this was the youngest people ever charged in Ireland history with murder.
And on top of that, it's the extent of what went down that is so far deeper and darker than anything you can possibly imagine.
Yep. So because these boys were only 13, a lot of special rules had to be followed, like everything else. Mm-hmm. They had to allow their parents to be with them the whole time in court. The boys were seen holding their mother's hands or father's hands and, laying their heads on their shoulders and things. The judges weren't allowed to wear their traditional wigs and garb, which I guess is still a thing over there.
Oh.
With the long,
like George Washington type of wigs.
Right. So they weren't allowed to wear the black robes and everything.
Which is so funny to me because it's like we're treating this monster with kid gloves after he attacked and brutalized a girl.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm not going to wear my robe to protect your shitty little soul.
Right. We're so worried about what you think. Yeah. Not even... yeah, but then you don't also, in case they were innocent, you don't want to
we
scare
know
them.
He's not innocent.
No, we know for sure. Sure. So yeah, I agree with you.
But rules are in place. You have to follow them. I get it.
Yep. Both boys pleaded not guilty to the murder charges.
Well, we knew that was going to be the case, seeing as Boy A vehemently denies having any part of it.
Yep. And like I said, Boy A, it was kind of a slam dunk. Plenty of evidence against him. Boy B, a lot harder. Just his own admission. That's it. Like you said, no DNA in his shoes or anything.
And it does sound like his story is actually true.
Correct. So there was a lot of arguments, like I said, over whether Boy B should have been charged for murder, just like we talked about. And that was something going on within the news. There was people like locally discussing it, being like, you were too hard on him, or were they? But good thing they weren't, so that that wouldn't be thrown out. However, there was a huge surprise that the prosecutors didn't expect in the first few days of court.
Okay.
Boy A confessed.
He did. Yep. Well, dude, we got you. We got you cornered here. The jig is up. You've done it.
You're going regardless. You're gonna so what happened? He was given a psychiatrist to talk to.
Okay.
To see whether he was capable of standing trial. The whole pleading crazy or whatever it is.
Of course.
He ended up confessing every step of the murder.
Well, I'm curious to hear what his story was.
Here it is. So he started out by choking Anna. And he happened to see a big piece of wood with nails in it. So this wasn't something that he made.
So it was just there.
Yep. Something that was there that some other teenagers were probably doing dumb shit with and throwing it into the walls and stuff, whatever. Just started choking her, looked around like, what can I do with this girl? And this is kind of crazy that he had this murder kit, but didn't have weapons, Like you would think he would have brought something.
Well, maybe his mind was, I'm just going to strangle her.
And we hear about so often, it takes a long time.
And he didn't realize that because he's 13 years old.
Right.
And
in the movies, it takes 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Here, it's actually a few minutes. So he looked around, grabbed it, and beat her with it.
Jesus. Now, did he go there with the intention to murder her or rape her? Or both, he was fully intending to get her there to murder her. That was the goal?
I don't know if that was ever discussed.
Okay.
I think only he was just willing to say what happened that night. So maybe, yeah, I can't say with confidence. Okay. So, and I don't want to start speculating.
Sure.
So eventually he dropped the stick and picked up the concrete block and beat her over the head with it.
Oh.
That's how he murdered Anna.
That is so awful.
With a concrete block to her head. Like, I can't
Poor
imagine that.
sweet girl.
Boy A did deny the sexual assault charges.
Oh, dude, your semen was on her, so...
Well, the autopsy showed there was only attempted penetration. So I don't know how they figured this out, but it was attempted and not like successfully
Well, they could
completed.
probably tell because of the tissue, but
Yeah.
Again, he's 13.
So instead of raping Anna, he masturbated over her body and ejaculated on her t-shirt.
God.
Then he got up and left poor Anna's dead body while he went along with his regular life.
He had to have been covered in blood.
Yeah, you would think so.
So did he bring a change of clothes? Because he couldn't have walked back in his house like that.
I don't know.
I mean, the room was covered in blood. You know he was covered in blood. He was hitting her with a cinder block. He must have been covered. So I wonder what he did with his clothes.
Maybe just said, "Mom, I got in the mud," and maybe rubbed it in the mud. And
Possibly.
Like, hey. Yeah, then maybe that's why it was washed right away. The defense team for Boy A, these scumbag pieces of shit defense team.
Again, we know lawyers have a job to do, and there's always going to be two sides of the case, but how do you defend a demon?
They tried to argue that the semen on Anna's shirt was from consensual sex.
Sure it was, as she had a cinder block in her face.
Yeah. Like, yeah, they were there. Okay, yeah, let's go have sex in this room. And then, oh, we're done. And now I'm going to pick up the cinder block and beat you. So they said it was from consensual sex. Then he decided to murder her
How
afterwards.
dare they?
Absolutely, like, maddening.
How dare they say that this girl was willing to do this with this boy?
And the parents sitting there listening to this
That's
shit.
disgusting.
It's like she had never had sex with any boy, and she's going to go do this in some
Sure.
weird... I mean...
Sure she is.
It makes you just like
Because then
so
that's
angry.
tarnishing her name that,
Yeah. Yeah. And this kid's going into the slammer for murder, and it's like they just don't want the aggravated assault on top of it.
please. So let's bring Anna's name down as she's no longer with us.
Yep. But remember how the original story said Boy A wasn't into Anna at all, and now they're having consensual sex?
Yeah, okay. It's not lining up.
Doesn't make any sense. Like a lot of things in this damn trial, unfortunately. So that was pretty much the story. After a 7-week trial, the jury went to deliberate. That was the story of the murder. After a 7-week trial, the jury went to deliberate. Boy B's lawyer, before the jury left, he said, wait, real quick. I want to remind you that manslaughter is still on the table here. It doesn't have to be murder for Boy B. I'd appreciate if you can think about that. And, he doesn't have to be charged with murder. He ended with a quote, "Witnessing a murder is not equal to committing a murder," which I think we all understand. And, wanted them to kind of keep that in their heads while they were deliberating. When the jury returned, they found both Boy A and Boy B guilty of murder.
Wow.
Of Anastasia Kriegel. Boy A was found guilty also of aggravated sexual assault.
Good.
He's now listed as a registered sex offender.
I hope he rots in jail because he's a monster.
Boy A started crying immediately.
Oh, cry me a river, you piece of shit.
Poor baby.
You did this to somebody.
Yeah, nobody cares. It's like you deserve much worse. And Boy B put his head in his hands. Boy B's father immediately became enraged. He started screaming, saying, "You bunch of scumbags, you bunch of pricks." As the boys were leaving, Boy B's father did a slow, sarcastic golf clap. Like, congrats.
What, towards the jury?
Yeah, look what you just did. You're putting a boy in jail.
Yeah, look at what they just did.
Yeah.
Granted, again, he may not have had any part of the murder, but he knew it was happening and he did nothing about it.
Right. And he said, "Oh, congratulations for convicting my innocent son." It's like, your son's not innocent.
He's not innocent. I don't know that I would have charged them with the exact same thing.
Right.
I don't know. That's a tricky situation. A needs to rot in jail forever because he's a sick and twisted individual that at age 13 is capable of this. What will he be capable of as an adult?
Right. Well,
scary person.
The jury was asked about it to explain why they also charged Boy B. Mm-hmm. And the jury said the explanation was that he was the key factor in the murder.
He brought her to the house?
Correct. Without him, the murder wouldn't have happened.
Yeah. It was like, leading a little mouse to the trap.
Correct. Without him collecting Anna, specifically bringing her for slaughter, they felt Boy A was an equal piece of the murder.
But then, did Boy B understand what was going to happen at that house?
So here's the thing. Because he lied so much, the prosecution was like, this guy still knows more.
Yeah.
He is not giving us everything. He absolutely knew this girl was like that. That's what they were saying. He knew this girl was going to be murdered. He knew exactly what was going to happen. He didn't stop. He even watched it happen, and he didn't stop it. He had many opportunities to do so. He went home, did nothing about it, told nobody.
People came to the house. They asked, "Oh no, we just went to the park, and then I left and did my homework."
If you're surprised that somebody got murdered, wouldn't you like go to the police or tell your parents?
Sprint to the police.
My friend, said something, and you'd get yourself like off the hook, and that you'd be so scared. But no, I think all those things kind of lead to him knowing that she was going to get murdered, and he wanted to be part of this.
And they were best friends.
Right. So I don't blame Boy B for going to jail. Like, fuck him, basically. Boy A was sentenced to life in prison with a review after 12 years when he's 26.
That scares me.
Yeah, he'll be back out. Guaranteed.
He's going to be back out.
Now, kids, I mean, they're kids. They got to have a second chance. Life, you can't throw them away.
I mean, this guy's a monster.
Absolutely.
And I mean, like you said, he just denied.
Yep. And then Boy B got 15 years with an 8-year minimum.
Okay.
So right now, both boys are around 17 years old. And they'll be going to big boy jail when they turn 18.
Which is soon.
Yes.
Big boy jail.
Then their names still aren't known, and they'll never be shared.
So even when they become adults, because it happened when they were children, which scares me. But so he is listed as a registered sex offender, Boy A.
Yep.
So his name is going to be in the database in that regard.
Right.
Not until he's released, or
I think he's currently in there. But like just to be able if he buys a house near a school and stuff, to be like, oh, this person like flagged that you can't.
Yes, and he needs to be flagged for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just like it's so like just unbelievable that such young.
You just can't imagine how anyone would be capable of such horror, let alone a child.
Yep.
Like what went on like what went on in your head?
Well, here's the thing. You mentioned earlier, like something may have happened, and police did some research. Both boys were from loving and good middle-class families.
And I'm not blaming the parents at all,
Yep.
But something was going on inside this child. Something. There had to have been signs, though. There had to have.
And there's multiple cases where, a kid goes away and then comes back and then does other stuff, because that's all they know, and that's all they've been thinking about.
One would think he must have watched a lot of horror movies, and I'm not saying horror movies make a murderer by any means. But he had
illness.
A lot of things going on in his head.
Yep. So no red flags popped up in their past. They both seem like normal little boys.
Like this 13-year-old couldn't have been at the dinner table night in and night out acting normally and then packed a kill kit and brutalized a girl and raped her or tried to.
Yep.
Like it just doesn't work that way. There had to have been a lot of morbid discussions and things like that.
Yep. And so both of these guys will be out in the streets in less than 10 years.
That scares me a lot. Boy B, maybe not so much, but Boy A scares the shit out of me.
He'll do something, guaranteed.
Oh, I promise you he will.
Yep. He's got a taste of it, and it's like...
If you're capable of doing what he did as a child, you got some raging shit happening in your brain.
I think at the very least he needs like castration of some sort, to...
It's not even just the sexual nature of it. It's how he beat her.
Well, a lot of it is sexually charged.
Yeah, I get that. But the fact
power.
that he was capable of grabbing a cinder block and just beating her to death.
Well, I follow a lot of people on Twitter, and it's a lot of like females that are talking about like murders and things, and they say a lot of it is sexually charged because they want to have control. That's why he jerked off over her. And
that scares me so bad. And then the putting the tape on her neck. And
yeah, and she didn't die from that, but that was just another thing.
I know, but it was another layer of the evil.
And control. And so, finally, Anna's parents released a statement that I want to read. They said, "Life without Anna is no longer a life, nor is it an existence. It's a misery that we must endure for the rest of our lives." And this is the worst for me. They shared a paragraph that Anna wrote when she was 11 or 12, just before secondary school, when she was moving from primary to secondary. And it was a nice paragraph, but the last sentence really got me. She said, "I hope that everyone I meet will be nice."
Poor baby. Sweet, innocent little girl.
Yeah.
And sadly, they weren't all nice.
Nope.
Oh, what a story. Jeez. Well, this goes out to Anna and her parents. I'm just so sorry that this happened. What a nightmare.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, follow your intuition, parents.
Yeah, but this was
never,
a
like, yeah.
13-year-old boy coming to your door. You can't
No, it's not the parents' fault whatsoever.
No, I'm not even saying that. Of course it's not the parents' fault. That's not a thought in my mind, but you can't expect something like this. This is beyond your wildest thoughts that could ever happen. Like when that boy came to the door, yeah, the dad went out. He thought something. He watched them walk.
But you get excited too. You need your kids to experience
life.
Different things.
They're experiencing life. They did nothing wrong, obviously, but to ever anticipate such a horrible nightmare to happen it's not possible.
Feel like we need more people like Anna in life, that are willing to help people and things.
Yes, and want to volunteer their time and be giving and thoughtful.
And less people like Boy A that are just out to fulfill their own needs and fantasies.
Not even see her as a human being. He didn't.
No.
He didn't see her as a human.
As an object.
Object that he could do what he wanted with.
And that nobody would care because she's the weird girl or whatever.
And now, meanwhile, her parents will go through the rest of their lives with a hole in their souls that will never be filled.
And humanity is worse off because you lose a decent person in the world.
A good soul in the world.
Right. So,
well,
I'm sorry, Anna.
Anna, this story is for you, and I'm so sorry that this happened.
Yeah. So hopefully, I don't know the moral of the story or whatever, but just be
good people, be compassionate people.
Maybe talk to somebody that is looking for a friend.
Yeah, if you see the person at school that might stand out a little bit because they're different, quote unquote, different than others.
I get it.
You don't
have to have a sleepover with them or anything. Just
but talk to them.
Yeah, talk. Maybe ask a couple of questions. Let them talk about themselves. They like it. That's what I teach our son Cameron. He's socially awkward, and I just say, just like any teenager. Not he's a great kid. He's a lot of fun to talk to. I'm not
I love our.
If you listen to the podcast, you think that
our kid's like this,
right? But no, he's got friends. He's a good kid.
He plays baseball.
But he doesn't know what to ask an adult. If he's talking to them, I'm just ask about themselves. And people love talking about themselves. So my point is just ask somebody, that weird kid at school, hey man, how was your weekend? Okay, good. And it's so
what are you
cool.
interested in?
Yeah. And they look up to you. They think you're pretty cool. So it would make their day.
Extend some kindness.
Yeah. Yeah. So just more kindness in the world, I think would be a good thing. So thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it. And, next week we'll be back with one of Allison's stories.
I'll be back.
You are probably already done with.
I'm pretty much done.
I finished mine about 6 hours ago. So
yep, we roll in totally different ways, the two of us.
We sure do. So thanks for listening so much. And we're still growing like crazy. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
We want to share these stories with as many people as possible. Reach out to as many people and touch the brains of some people. So thank you so much, and we'll talk to you next week.
Okay, cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.